because you need each other. Is that the assumption? Is that logic? To cut off
Well, what happens, I mean, probably, I didn't give a good example with my relationship with Neil, because my relationship with Neil never gets broached, it never gets violated, it's permanent. But if you have a relationship between capital and labour, that's not our relationship. Between capital and labour, exploiter and exploited, and then there is a what? A strike.
They both need each other.
Yes, yeah. Teacher and taught, capitalist and worker, buyer and seller, husband and wife, they need each other, they are specialized. Why do they need it? Because they are specialized, they're interdependent as a result of that. And this restitutive law is all about regulating the relations of interdependence. What Durkheim is insisting is you cannot have these relations of interdependence pure and simple as interdependence. They have to be regulated. The relation between labor and capital has to be regulated. The relation between husband and wife has to be regulated. Even there's regulations about the relationship between student and taught. There are rules that govern me. I have to come here at a certain time, I have to leave at a certain time, and you have to sit there and be quiet unless I let you speak. You know, and I'm supposed to talk. There are all sorts of understandings between teacher and taught that are there in the relationship. That for the institution to function, for the relationship to operate. That's right. So Durkheim is saying you need restitutive law. That's what the laws of regulation. So what's he talking about? He's talking about domestic law, he's talking about contract law, he's talking about labour law, he's talking about administrative law, he's talking about procedural law. These are, for example, laws that relate to the operation of the judicial system. There are rules, a law of how the judicial system operates. It doesn't just spontaneously operate, there are rules. It's called procedural law. Administrative law is all about the relations between different agencies within government. There are laws for all these sorts of things. And when those laws are violated, the sanction is to somehow rebuild the relationship that has been broached. Neil.
So Durkheim isn't saying that they're mutually exclusive. You can graduate from restitutive law to repressive law.
Yeah. See, what he's going to argue, and he does it, but he doesn't really do it very well, that somehow the repressive laws become less and the restitutive laws become more. But in any society there are always a combination of repressive and restitutive. So that's why I can make an appeal to examples from the contemporary society that refer to mechanical solidarity, even though this is a society in which organic solidarity is more important than mechanical solidarity, restitutive law is more important than repressive law. So yes, they coexist. They coexist, as we will see. That's the most important part of chapter 7 of book 1, which we'll get to in a few minutes. But yes, that it's a debate. What debate? I think that he's saying that you have organic solidarity and mechanical solidarity, because you have restitutive law and repressive law. They coexist in society. You could say, and you'd have to read the text very carefully, Mike, for example, thinks that basically there is no mechanical solidarity alongside organic, but there's just a collective consciousness. Well, collective consciousness is really mechanical solidarity. So it's plain with words. But anyway, the point is that definitely repressive law and restitutive law exist alongside each other, as we know. And there are moments in this country's history when there's an avalanche of mechanical solidarity. For example, when is there an avalanche of mechanical solidarity in this society? 9/11 is, well, who's 9/11? Yes, 9/11 is one very great outpouring. But it happens, yes, Matthew? Christmas time. Well, Christmas time. I say Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking everyone being black national.
Oh, you think so? That's it. Oh, I see. That's right. Well, yeah, maybe. Thanksgiving. Yes, Jane.
You brought up the example of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, and unbelievable. The Oakland airport was empty on Sunday. I mean, there was just nobody there. Saturday, everybody's watching this game, this lunatic game. Amazing how we can. That's what's interesting about collective conscious mechanical solidarity. How one can actually get focused on things that, to another world, to an Englishman like myself, things that's totally weird, Yeah. Yes, sir.
Are there international people cheering for the Super Bowl?
I bet there are. You see, the United States has tried to diffuse its consciousness, its collective consciousness through the Super Bowl across the world. And it's got a name. It's called imperialism.
Figures from Australia, so all my family.
Is that right? Well, thanks for that information. This is part of the immigration stream. The world is becoming United States of America. Yes. Yeah, well, of course, they're cheering for Obama everywhere. That's, a number of it.
That affects everybody.
Yeah, Obama affects everybody, yes, sort of. But there's more to it. There's total relief, I think, in most parts of the world. Yes, anyway, let's not go down that alley. Yeah. But the inaugural address, literally the whole world was watching. More than the Super Bowl. Outside the United States. There are moments of great collective effervescence, Durkheim might say, of collective outpouring, solidarity, which is an expression of the collective consciousness. So there is something, but we're going to see next time what happens to the collective consciousness with the development of vision labor. Something happens to it. And that's what you're going to read on pages 118 to 123. Very interesting pages. Okay, very good. Alright, so I've talked a little bit about these laws. Restitutive law, domestic law concerns the family, contractual law, procedural law, constitutional law, and, what about divorce law? I like this example. Divorce law. Long before you were born, well, at least before 1970. Anybody born before 1970 here? Josephine. Last semester was a much older group. People stuck up their hands happily. 1970. Well, So you were probably born under the old marriage system, traditional divorce law. Do you know if you wanted to get divorced in 1965, what you had to do in California? How do you do in many other countries, yeah? You had to prove fault. Prove fault. And so what was fault all about? Cheated. What does cheat mean? Adultery. Very good. What else? Cruelty. Anything else? Adultery, cruelty. Adultery, cruelty. Katie? Abandonment. Yes. Yes, desertion it was called. Desertion. Okay, those were the three main ones, I think. Desertion, cruelty, and adultery. But you had to go around and demonstrate that somebody had violated this very sacred marriage contract. That was, in a sense, part of the collective consciousness. The family and the marriage contract was incredibly sacred. And therefore, divorce was all about what? It was all about proving fault and then, punishing the person who was at fault. And actually, the administration of fine and the finances was in accordance with the proving of fault. Right? And basically there was, it was in a sense a fine for violating something very sacred. And then what happened? No fault divorce. And what's no fault divorce all about?
You just not want to be together.
You're just somebody, Neil and I are married and I think, don't like you anymore, and we would just decide, or I would decide to abandon you. And then, what will happen? What will happen is that, we'll go to the courts together, hopefully we'll go together, amicably.
I get half.
Well, you might get half, but I probably invested more in the marriage than you did, so I'll probably get more. Now, you might get the children, because you may... Yeah, right. You might. We negotiate, or we just share it, all these fancy sharing relationships, all of which you know too much about. Yeah. The point is that that's more like now, it's a movement from mechanical solidarity to, in a sense, organic solidarity. It's a matter of repairing a relationship. We'll look into child custody, we'll be organized so that we best organize the relationships for the children. It's not a matter of punishing anybody anymore. So one's moved in a sense from mechanical solidarity to organic solidarity. Why? Why is there that shift? From mechanical to organic? From traditional fault-based divorce to no-fault divorce law. Why is there a shift? What's happened? Jason.
Use a body analogy, like if your foot's messed up, you don't want to say, oh, it doesn't work, I cut it off, see you later. But, everything's standardized, it's a lot easier to, make judgments about who's right and wrong on a standardized plane. Everyone's so individual and so unique, all these different ways, it's a lot easier.
But what's happened in 1970? 1970 is when the change comes. Why the shift then? Marianne, what do you think?
I'm sorry, I was distracted for a moment.
Just for a moment, okay. We'll restore your collective consciousness to the group. The question on the floor is, why might one move from traditional fault-based divorce to no-fault divorce? Punishment-centered to sort of restitutive-centered divorce in 1970. What is happening? Rosa, what's happening?
Maybe parents want more people commenting.
Yeah, but what is happening beyond divorce, beyond the family? Yeah, but what is happening beyond what do you think is happening? What's happening in society? Yes, Simeon.
Well, the women's liberation, of course, on concessions.
Women's liberation in 1970?
1968, for instance.
1968? Oh. Interesting. Yeah, sort of. Yes. Well, what about what's women's liberation all about? Yes, go on. Very good. Continue. Yes, women's liberation.
Well, obviously liberating women.
Oh, you're on the mark there. Yes. So, what's the significance of that?
Well, I think it's pretty much clear. If you have to prove fault, and you're a woman who's depending on, the man who's going to make any mistakes, who's in a position where
Tracy.
Society is changing.
The moral makeup of, but why is the moral makeup of society changing? Remember, Marx is in your genes. Well, what's happening in society? What is happening? Come on, what is happening from 1950 to 1980, Charita?
Oh, in the 70s, there was anti-war movement, but in general, the younger generation was less and fully
Interesting. But why were they always? But what's going on in there? Whoa, what's going? Wait, you're leaving me speechless. What is happening in the world of men and women? What is happening in the 1960s and 1970s? Yes, there is women's liberation. You're into social movements. I'm really delighted that you know there were social movements. And it makes my heart pitter-patter. But what is underneath all that? Who are you? Erica. And what's the significance of that? Yes. I think that the transformation of it was not that women were no longer locked in the family as mothers, but were entering the labor force. And so one had to begin to think about the relations between men and women in completely new ways, not presume that this hierarchy within the family and family values and mechanical solidarity, but now women are entering the division of labor, the broad division of labor. And that leads to an understanding much more of the interdependence of the relationship between men and women, and not the solidarity that united them in the family, Matthew.
Haven't women been in the labor force for a long time, though?
They have been in the labour force for a long time, but the fact of the matter is, if you look at the figures, they are entering the labour force in the 1950s and 60s at much greater rates, leaving the Second World War aside, than before. So I think there's been anyway, that's how I would see this. Yes. The idea, what happens in the 1960s and 70s is it's impossible for a single earner family to exist. You have to have two earner families for the majority of the population. And so I think that is reflected in the character of the family and in also the way, in fact, divorce law operates, because there's a new emergent interrelationship, interdependence between men and women. All right, that's my view. Okay, very good, yes. Yeah. I got another example that you might like better. O.J. Simpson, remember him? Are you younger? Yeah.
You're saying that more women are in this workforce. Wouldn't that make it more mechanical as opposed to organic, because now men and women are doing more of the same things within their relationship?
But they're entering into different places in the division of labor, I think. No, that's a good argument. I need to nail this one down a bit better, don't I? Yeah. Yes, that's right. Now that's interesting. Yes, you could say that, but what I'm trying to suggest is that the family here, as one of the organs in society, is becoming increasingly integrated with the rest of the other organs, and therefore you need to have more sort of interdependent relations both within and between the family and other organs. I'm tripping over myself. Does that mean GSI want to help me out? No, GSI wants to help me out? Pathetic lot. Okay. Nobody. Oh, that's called resistance. This model can't appreciate that. Okay. No? Alright, I will think about it more. You can think about it too. I want to go to O.J. Simpson. Remember what happened to O.J. Simpson? You were alive then, right? Yeah. Very good, absolutely. It scarred your life. I mean, it was one of those moments. That's another moment. The O.J. Simpson trial was a moment of what were the real issues in the O.J. Simpson trial? Hands up. Race, the racism of the LAPD, and what else? What was that? Glove, yeah, right. No, that's the LAPD. No, there's something else. Come on, don't disappoint me. Don't disappoint Bridget. In what sense?
Because he was a celebrity in the state.
Yes, and could afford a fancy lawyer. What was Johnny Cochran or what his name was? Yes, that's right. I'll give you class and I'll give you race, but I want something else, don't I? Don't I, Tracy?
Both types of laws were addressed in that case.
Yes, in the end they were. Let's go to the first trial. The big trial that everybody was watching. We had race, we had a little bit of class, big class actually, but we had something else. Please. This is fascinating. It's the collective consciousness is something that is selectively remembered and carried on. Yes, race and class. Jessica? Yeah, that's of course everybody was watching, that's why it's so important, but I'm wondering, what are they watching? What are the issues that they're watching? What are the public discussions going on? The debates and discussions, alright, about the racism of LAPD, but what else? Jane? Gender, but what about gender? What had O.J. Simpson? Domestic violence, sexual harassment, but domestic abuse. This was also a huge issue that divided this population. So you had these three issues, class, race, and gender, operating simultaneously. And people were watching, discussing, so these became the real issues. And you could say that perhaps the domestic violence assumes greater publicity through that trial. Race and class had already assumed publicity, but still, it was perhaps also a moment of the reassertion of a reconfigured collective consciousness. Slightly reconfigured. Okay, so what happened, of course, he got off for class reasons or race reasons or gender reasons, and then what happened? Tracy?
Then they changed to a different type of law.
That's right. They moved from a repressive penal law to in Durkheim's cause restitutive, and of course in our common parlance, civil case in which
He lost that one.
He lost that one, but what was he accused of? Wrongful death.